welcome to my studio. I have been hard at work over the last couple of days because I'm starting to go crazy with all this homeschooling and really cabin fever. So I thought that it might be fun for me to show you what it is that we actually do in preparing for your wedding days, and really to just have a bit of fun with you around what it takes to obviously create some of the beautiful styling options that we do for your wedding. So today I just thought that we would start with an Arbour left corner structure. So this is going to be replacing my Arbour structure. These we do actually hire out, and they look beautiful with greenery over them on either the bridal table or your guest tables, especially with the long row tables, which are all in fashion at the moment. So I do have some beautiful greenery. I've got some gums, some poly. I'll just pull some up for you without dropping the whole lot. Some poly gum, which has got the beautiful paddle sort of style leaves. I've got some nutty gum, which has just got the longer, thinner leaves, and obviously some nuts available on them. I've also got some beautiful wedding gum, which is obviously the green, beautiful structured leaves that are available. I've got some magnolia, which has obviously got the brown textured leaves, which are usually the very beautiful backs, which obviously is something that I love to use because it brings that texture of brown into the colourings. I've got some sea holly, which is like a little bit of a spiky leaf and adds a little bit of texture amongst all the roses and such. I've also got some ruscus, Italian ruscus. This gives you a little bit of structure and a little bit of length as far as greenery. So I can either go natives with some of these structures. These are obviously kings, white kings, which are absolutely beautiful at the moment and in season. So for all you beautiful brides that were going to be married in April, these would have been some of the beautiful colours and textures that were available. I've also got some beautiful roses that I've picked up and had delivered to me this morning. So I've got some beautiful pinks just for a little bit of vibrancy, and some more muted sort of pastel pinks with a little bit of a cream backdrop, as well as some beautiful whites. These have got a little bit more foliage in them, and they will open up beautifully. I've also got some little red textured spray roses. So sorry, I'm just got them stuck. Some spray roses. These actually have a beautiful scent to them. I've also got some smaller spray roses, which I have in some pinks and whites, so they'll be nice. I've also got some amaranthus, which I think is quite beautiful for some different structures that we're going to be doing later on. I've also got some beautiful new pampas grass, which has just actually come in from WA. I like to use Australian products wherever we possibly can, and this is absolutely stunning and definitely in fashion at the moment. I've also got some beautiful hydrangeas, dry hydrangeas, which are definitely in at the moment. And although hydrangeas obviously sometimes don't dry beautifully if they're not dried properly, these have obviously been preserved very beautifully. I've also got, for some fun that we're going to be having in the rest of the weekend, I've also got some beautiful palm leaves, and I've got 2 large sizes of those. I've also got a large structured leaf in the back there, which I thought we could have a bit of a play with, and some beautiful foliages that I can obviously add. This is my favourite at the moment, and certainly has a beautiful structure to it, and this is actually called the love grass, so I'll be adding that to some of my settings for you over the weekend. So I'm just going to get down to business with this left Arbour structure. So I've used one of these floral foam mechanisms to do most of my Arbour structures. As most of you know, I tend to reuse a lot of the elements from your ceremony to your reception. So whatever's set out for your ceremony can often be used for your main table as well. Sometimes throughout the reception areas as well, we can reuse them for photo options. You can have like photo arbors and all those sorts of things, so instead of photo booths and such. So there's different options that we can obviously assist you to work with, but we just thought that this might be a fun little activity for us to do today. So this is the structure. It's been set in water and soaked through, just to make sure that it obviously houses all of the florals for obviously a period of over a week. You just need to maintain that you keep water in it and it should stay as fresh as possible. Removing any greenery that's starting to die off in that time will obviously keep it as lush and beautiful as the day that we've made it. So in creating this structure onto the arbor, so I've just created it so that it will actually run along the length of the arbor with this little piece that will actually come down the side here. So as I'm starting to set it out, you can see that I'm building it from the base up, and in building it from the base, I'm starting with understanding where does the curve of the arbor actually start. So I'm just going to reposition some of these pieces, and it's about really understanding and placing on the arbor all of the time to make sure that you maintain the correct elements in the correct place. There's nothing worse than getting to the venue and not having the arbor set up correctly. So it's just about understanding where it's best suited, and as you can see, just moving that slightly has just brought it down the face of the arbor. So I'm just going to continue building this. I'm not going to keep talking to you, but I will from time to time pop in just to say hi, and yeah, let me know if there's anything else that you have any questions about. Just thought I'd show you this amazing foliage that I have. Also, I've got some pretty cool foliage here today, just to create a little bit of structure and texture in all of the design. So I have this beautiful cotinus, which is just got a slight green and white based sort of foliage on it, and it does have the structured black stemming, which I actually think is quite beautiful, and can create a little bit of structure in different settings. So we'll be having a bit of fun with that a little later. But for now, I'm just going to keep building my structure, and yeah, we'll see where we end up. So if I was going to reuse this for a centerpiece for a table, then I would need to ensure that the front base, when you place it on the front of the table, has a central part to it. So I'll just bring this back. So it does have a central piece to it so that it can be used for either element. So I'm just conscious of that when I'm actually building the structure, that there's a central part to the structure so that it can be reused. So it's just about building and maintaining this central curve. I've actually opened my doors instead of turning my fans on because it's quite beautiful outside, and I just wanted to make sure that I had as much airflow as possible because it's actually quite hot today. So it's about building and making sure that I'm keeping that curve going along the structure. It can be quite tough when placing these pieces in because they are quite tough and they need you to push them in. Ruscus is my favourite thing to use. So you will often see Ruscus as part of my structures and creations, just because it's such a structural leaf. It just always gives me the shape and texture that I am interested in. I do like the way that that curves out, creates a little bit of intensity. So I always reuse the pieces that I've cut off because they often go the opposite way within the mechanism, and they just create that structure. It's about turning it to make sure that the foliage is going to be visible from the front view, because you want it to be obviously facing down the base of the structure. So that's probably enough greenery for the base because it's given us a good structure and element to be able to place onto the board. So we're just ensuring that we're maintaining that beautiful structure. I will start to put some greenery up here just so that it starts to fill out the base. And obviously when it's sat on a table, it will still be full in both angles. So just to give you a bit of texture. especially because this will be reused for a centerpiece on a table, I want to ensure that I've covered all of the mechanisms so that there's no green base showing. So it's just about ensuring that as you're placing the elements in, you are covering all of the base mechanism as possible. So I'm getting some structure. I can't see any of my mechanism anymore. So now I'm going to start building the floral element. And I like to wear gloves because I have really long nails and my nails end up with gross green tips. So I need to keep changing my gloves because otherwise you don't want to shake my hand. So these flowers and roses have been sitting today because I'm wanting them to open out for this structure. So in doing so, I just need to ensure that I prep my flowers. So I'm just taking off any stems. I do have a floral knife if I need to remove any, but I don't think that I need to use that at this stage. So I do cut most of my stems on an angle just to ensure that they're actually soaking up as much of the water as possible. And then adding my floral layers is really about starting from this outwards section and then working the way in. So sometimes you can accidentally bend the stems if they're too long, so you need to ensure that it's the right length to ensure that you're not losing any foliage. So then it's about turning the roses so that they actually become part of the structure. So, see, I bent that one. So instead of wasting it, I'm just going to cut it further down the stem. And I will use that as this piece that I was going to place in here. So it's just about sectioning out the foliage to make sure that the roses are going to be on show as they're sat in the front place. So I do also place some of the foliage from the rose foliage just amongst some of this other foliage, just to ensure that I'm creating a little bit of depth around the roses as well. So it's about ensuring that you get that shape. This is the focus area, so when it's on a table as a centerpiece, it can still have that beautiful structure, as well as when it's on the center or the left arbor. So we're coming really to the finicky parts, which is where I like to start adding some texture around this central piece. So I'm either going to place one central rose in the front here, just so that that's the showpiece, and then place some smaller roses as spray roses around the edges, just for a little bit of difference. So just gonna start doing that. So then it's just about obviously using the spray to fill the gap. So some of these sprays have actually got single roses that I like to use as well. Certainly just around the edges to create the tips, just to create a little bit of interest coming out the sides. I think there's actually too many in that area, so break that apart. So you can start to see how it's filling out. You probably can't see it, but I can. Swap some of the textures and start with these little white roses and some of the foliage. So I like using these because they have some textured coloured foliage as well. So I just snap off some of those pieces and just place it in amongst the roses, which tends to make it come alive. Obviously foliage is really important to use the foliage as part of the roses, because it creates that element of Mother Nature, that it's going to be a natural thing rather than recreating something that is fake and false. That's sometimes when you can start to make it look like a shop bought flower arrangement rather than something that someone's created for the purpose that it's meant for. So I'm just going to place these little pieces here. So now I'm going to start with the central piece. So I think I need one more of these beautiful show roses for the centre, which I think will look quite stunning as the central part, and then I'm just going to build out from there. frame those roses. A little. Okay, I think we're almost there. Okay, so in creating this, I might just add a couple of other structural elements, just to create a bit of, no. Okay, I think we are done. Maybe some of this foliage. Just some of this gum to add a bit of structure. Some elements. I like this blue, grey colour texture, certainly around the roses, just to create a little bit of difference. Okay, I think we are done. So I'm just going to get some of my so very exciting, my favourite thing to use. We just make sure that you obviously put the large side, the small side in the large side. So we're going to place this up on the arbor and see how we've gone, creating this beautiful structure. So I'm just going to